Greetings, intrepid adventurers. I am Whisper. Welcome back to the library. Today, I am back with another playlist-inspired story. Just like last time, I have picked a playlist. I'll be using the title as the theme, listening to it, taking notes on whatever comes to mind, and then set the playlist time as the limit for writing something inspired by it. It's always a challenge, but I love pushing the bounds of my creativity. It brings me so much joy just creating. I'm glad I get to share it with you, even if no one watches it. The playlist I picked today is The Villain is Smitten. It's 18 minutes long, just a bit longer than the first one. My list is also a lot longer than the previous two. I filmed the first impressions this time, just to try it. So, here's what we've got. Chance meeting that the villain, character A, hasn't stopped thinking about. Slowly, character B starts getting feelings in return. A dark romance. Hook up, a little bit spicy. More of a stoic tsundere type. Recounting the first time they met someone who threatened character B's life. Now character A is threatening that person's life. Character A is lonely. Power is a long, lonely road. We'll stand on top of the world together and warm ourselves by its fire. You seem to mistake me for a patient man. When there's nothing left in the world, I know I'll always have you. In my mind, at least. Spying each other across the room, ending up in a dance more than a fight. Set in the 90s? Dark, thrilling, dangerous adrenaline. Hearts pounding, quick panting breaths. Taken by someone you really shouldn't be in love with, but you just can't help it. Kind of a mafia romance vibe. Actual mafia members have to be so embarrassed by shit like this. Presents from an anonymous admirer show up at the door. Character B is smart, but also kind of dumb and oblivious. Big scary, small dummy kind of vibes. The villain actually had a decent upbringing. Became a villain for his family, which is a trope I am very soft for. Lost anyway, then became obsessed with obtaining power so nothing like that could happen again. Looking for an excuse to be alone with character B. Beast inside, ready to consume. Vampire? Gritty grunge. Character A lets character B think they have more say in the schemes. Very soft for them, not controlling. Cuddling too much, maybe. Rough outside, soft inside. Bubblegum ball kind of boy. Been alone for so long. I forgot how warm it is to embrace another. Character B has an explosive power streak and ends up saving character A. Normally, I would have overlooked this little incident, but you seem to be taking advantage of my patience. And you should know, I'm not a very patient man. There was an entire roller coaster of emotions while doing the first listen and putting this onto paper. I had something of an idea on where to take this. Some sort of vampire mafia romance where the villain is explaining to a person they've captured about how smitten they were, and just how much that person fucked up by threatening the life of their beloved. It feels like a very generic explanation. I ended up trying to type it up instead of handwriting it, just to see if I could write any faster and get more down onto the paper. I'm not sure if it's because I typed it or because my time limit was longer, but I managed 749 words in those 18 and a half minutes. I'm so glad to finally be breaking 500. I ended up writing a lot more exposition than I wanted to, but I decided to just commit once I started writing it. I feel as though my roots in fanfiction are showing just a little bit, This is definitely a story I think I would develop later on. And here is the result of all my hard work. I didn't manage to fit everything, but then again the list was very, very long. But I did manage to keep all of it in mind while writing it. So, the butt of the gun chipped off the dark wood as he hit it. There was unbridled fury in his veins, hot liquid lava burning his belly. He knew the feeling far, far too well. In all his centuries, though, it had never lit him ablaze in the way this had. "I promise to kill you quickly if you let me in," he said calmly. He was surprised by just how even his tone was. Silence greeted him from the other side of the door, but it didn't take much to relieve the door of its hinges. One solid kick and it swept clear across the room, taking a dozen unprepared humans down with it. The warm scent of blood, how he loved it, craved it. It had been the only thing keeping him waking up in the morning for so long. We need to have a chat." He grabbed the man, human and stinking of sweat and gunpowder. "Anyone who tries to stop me, I'll kill you. I'll take you home and end you in front of your children." He wasn't sure how many were left, but that didn't matter. Not right now. He could wipe out their pathetic little lives in an instant. Their blood would fuel his body as quickly as the rage burned it. He taped the man to a chair and then perched on a crate across from him. Crossing his legs, he watched the human carefully. He wriggled, huffing against the tape over his mouth. "Normally, I would have overlooked this little incident, but you seem to be taking advantage of my patience, and you should know, I'm not a very patient man." He patted the butt of his gun against his palm. "Do you want to know just how fucked you are?" He was behind the man in a moment, the barrel of the gun to his head, teeth ready at his neck. "I won't let you hurt my little one. I thought I heard you call them a pet, but rest assured it's nothing like that. It's quite the romantic tale, actually. Why don't you stay a while and listen?" He paced back across the room, tucking the weapon in the back waistband of his belt. Gently, he lowered himself back down to the crate. "We met quite by chance. How many people do you meet and that single moment sticks with you? I can assure you, it isn't many. I've met far too many people, and they've all escaped me. Except for them." A brush of the shoulder. In that moment, I knew I couldn't stand to be away from them again. He went and kicked the chair over when the man rolled his eyes. Clicking his tongue, he spun the chair around. "I'll rip your eyes out, or maybe I'll break each finger. Only after slowly pulling off each of your fingernails, one by one." There was a muffled cry in response. The vampire hummed. How do you tell someone you've only met once that you were taken by them? I made sure to keep finding them. Eventually I pulled some strings, found their address, sent them gifts. I never thought I needed anyone, not after the way I got here. Power is a long, lonely ride to the top. The nights are cold, the days are long. There is never a comfortable bed in sight. You forget warmth when all you're given is the cold shoulder. Do you understand? I am the one person in this entire rotting city that you cannot, may not, steal from. Fools do it in hopes of glory, each one met with a terrible end, and I am gladly going to add your name to that list. He could hear the man's heart rate accelerate, feel it thrumming through the room. The hot scent of his quick blood made the vampire delirious, but he remembered the face he had waiting back home. The one that had been battered and bruised with a swollen eye and bloodied lip. The face that still smiled at him, promised they were all right. But this wasn't all right. Nothing would be again. If people knew his things could be taken, he had overthrown this city and made it his own single-handedly. He didn't need people thinking they could usurp him now. Not after he'd finally found sunshine, after so many decades in the darkness. The beast inside was growling, growing, and too close to taking over. Overall, a 7 out of 10, if I say so myself. Not the wildest, most amazing thing I've ever written, honestly. But it kind of makes me think of something that happened in the 7th grade. I did a project for my English class and shared something I wrote. I'd just been getting into writing. Later, I was at my locker, and a little bit down the hallway, some girls from my class were purposefully loudly talking about how violent and bloody my work was. My teacher had been impressed, if I remember right, but I still think about it sometimes. My hope is to one day be able to rub it in their faces. Maybe that's a stupid motivation, but it's one of many that keeps me writing. I'm hoping with each of these I can get a little better at my craft. I'm hoping I'll be able to make them more compelling. I'm not very skilled at anything, but creating's the only thing I really know how to do. It keeps me sane. I'm never more focused than when I have my head in the clouds. I always want to be able to do this, to tell stories, to dream, to weave, to write. I definitely have a better idea for this story, one that will be better fleshed out later on down the road when I have time. In the meantime, I have so many exciting things cooking up behind the scenes, and I am so insanely excited to share them all with you. I hope you stick around and that I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep dreaming, and farewell.